Welcome to the first ever recap of Miss Cosmo International. I'm Dani. Thanks for joining me for this episode. I hope that you choose to subscribe and support the channel by hitting that super thanks button or joining memberships. Let's get right into this. First of all, they opened with this pre-show red carpet, and I'm such a big fan of this. I feel like it's a great way to recognize former title holders, which they don't have just yet, but I'm looking forward to future editions where formers are going to be able to walk this red carpet. But they're also able to feature special guests, sponsors. It was really fun, but there is somebody that really stood out to me on this red carpet. Honestly, she stole the show. She has my heart. Look at her. I would assume that she's probably one of the little girls that goes to Cosmo Academy. This level of confidence is something I wish that I had at her age, but she is just the cutest little thing. She is the moment. She stole the show for me. I also really like that the show opening with the pre-shot introductions of the contestants was really giving me like early mid 2000s for Miss USA, when they would do these really fun and creative show openings and they would shoot them all over the host city. And I know that these were more like digital CGI type things and video edits, but it was still kind of giving me that vibe. The show opening was fantastic. So we had this singer coming out of the middle of the stage. There was smoke. She's over there singing this new Cosmo theme song. We had dancers. I also like that on screen they recognized the dancers and the composer and the singer, and they gave everybody credits on screen, and I'm like, why not? That's such a simple, easy thing to do that I wish more shows would do, because a lot of performers are really, I would say, underappreciated or underrated, and they really do enhance the quality of your show. So I loved this. I was very, very impressed by this. I thought that all of the contestants looked great. I don't know if these outfits were sponsored or if the contestants got to just choose what they wore, but they had some really awesome outfits as well for this opening number. They look so cute. One thing I do wish though is that they had all of these LED screens, and I wish that at some points that we would have been able to see during the intro up close shots of the contestants. I thought that would have been really great for all of the people in the back and then for all of us at home that are watching. I really love the footage that they were cutting to of the contestants throughout the past weeks. I thought that was fantastic. I love that they were producing multiple fashion shows. I saw two main ones, one where the ladies were kind of on the water and then one where they were clearly in a venue, and I thought that was beautiful. I think that is the direction that they need to continue going in for Cosmo in the future. That's going to be one of the things, like these high level fashion shows that really make the contestants stand out. Now, if you want to take it to a whole other level, hold Miss Cosmo during one of the fashion weeks around the world and feature your girls in actual runway shows for name brand designers. I don't know how you could get away with that, like how you could make that happen, but that would really be next level epic if you're going to be getting into the fashion shows. In addition to the fashion shows though, we got to see the contestants tour Vietnam. There was a lot of high quality footage there, and the editing was so great. It looked so expensive. It looked so good. Loved it. One thing though that I was surprised is that the hosts didn't have a teleprompter. I'm not a really big fan, especially for these big shows, of not having a teleprompter, because I just don't like the look of them kind of like flipping through pages trying to figure out where they're at. It's so much nicer when they can connect with the audience and the camera. They had a really nice flow of the show as well. I didn't feel like the stuff that they were putting in it was boring. I felt like there was a point to all of it. So then we moved on to the swim competition pretty quickly, and I liked that. I was also obsessed with the singer that they brought out for swim. I thought that was fantastic, super fun, really, really well done. It felt like you were at a concert. I would have been having a great time if I were there. So let me share with you the performances that stood out to me. Netherlands was a really nice surprise to see in the top 21, because I thought that her walk really improved from prelims to finals. Philippines had a solid performance for swim for me. This is what I fully expected from her. But one thing I noticed about her connection with the audience and the judges and the camera was I felt that her eye contact was a little bit intense. Like, it never let up throughout the entire routine. It was just like this. It was like so connected with the camera the entire time. It's like no matter where she went, we still had that eye contact. So I actually do feel like in that case that she could have let up on the eye contact a little bit. Indonesia had a nice little sidestep down the stairs. She looked great. She also had a really well executed spin turn, and she was bringing a lot of energy for finals. Not too much. She wasn't overdoing it to the point where she's falling out of her poses or anything like that, but it was like that nice little sweet spot to keep advancing in the show. So that was great, and she had a strong ending pose as well. I really loved this performance. South Africa, also fantastic, and this was the moment where I was like, honestly, nothing bad here. Like, they're all looking really, really great. Honestly, this was a fabulous inaugural group of contestants. They did so well. USA significantly improved between prelims and finals for me. This performance looked a lot different from her preliminary showing, and I really liked this. I was like, well, no wonder she advanced into the top 5. She looks fantastic. It's like, yes, USA. It gets me genuinely excited when I can actually genuinely cheer for my own country because she just did a great job. So I thought she did fabulous, good facial expression changes, nice posing. I loved it. Cambodia. So I really, really liked her in prelims. I did feel like this performance didn't quite measure up to her preliminary performance. I prefer the preliminary performance, but I will say she was still great, right? Like her walk, still fabulous. She had this really nice, really wide open leg stance, and it just really lengthened her. It looked really great the way that she executed that. I think overall, great job. I wish she would have smiled just a little bit more. Vietnam, our hometown girl. Wow, with that turn right off the steps, I was impressed. But I also expected it considering her preliminary performance. So I really, really like her. She's fabulous. Her posing transitions are really, really great. Her use of the cape, this was a really strong performance for me. This immediately, I was just like, oh, I can't wait to see what she does for gown. Puerto Rico just has so much stage experience, it looks like. I just feel like she does such a fantastic job. I do think, however, that her makeup could have been improved for finals. There was something there that I was like, I don't know, I just wanted a different look for her. And but still, she did such a fantastic job. I really can't ask for more with her performances. I love her. One thing I have to say about Zimbabwe, because I didn't notice her as much in prelims, I think she greatly improved for finals as well. The thing about her is her eyes. Her eyes are so, so beautiful, and I feel like that's what really captivates you. Thailand did so great in prelims and in finals, and if we look at them internationally, look at how Thailand won a Supramodel award at Miss Supranational, right? I feel like their walks are fantastic, and I don't know if everybody's training with the same camps or what they're doing, but it's working. She did a really, really great job. Nice use of the cape. I do wish she would have had a little bit more eye contact at the very end of swim, like lock that in, but other than that, I loved her. Top performance. Peru, I loved her. Loved her in prelims. I loved her here. I do feel that I preferred her swimsuit performance from prelims, but still this was enough to be moving her forward. Dominican Republic, oh my gosh, I felt like she was nailing this. She had to be moving forward. I love this. Her facial expressions, just the walk, the poses. Also, I noticed at this point, I was thinking, oh, these swimsuits are cute. This is fun. I would wear this. Who is making this swimsuit? This is adorable. Mexico, I have to say, was a nice surprise. I feel like she improved from prelims to finals. She looked way more relaxed, not as nervous. So I was really excited for her. And she had a nice smile at the end of the runway. This was a very strong one for me. Quickly, I want to talk about exclusions. So it was such a strong group, honestly. And there were so many ladies that I loved during prelims. I was all over the place if you saw my preliminary recap. But if I'm thinking off the top of my head, who were the ladies that I was surprised that we didn't see in the top 21 that I felt like could have been up there? One of them was Japan. I thought that she was outstanding. Also, India, gorgeous. And Ghana, one of my personal favorites. And I know I'm missing others, but those are just a few that surprised me. Now we have our top 10, and then they played a little video clip of each of the contestants. So very quickly, Indonesia talked about reducing waste. I missed Thailand in my version I was watching. Somehow there was a skip in the show. And then Zimbabwe talked about increasing solar panels. Cambodia talked about never stopping and achieving your dreams. Dominican Republic shared about facing obstacles and never letting them stop you. USA talked about food insecurity and volunteering at food banks. Mexico talked about how she has a career in digital communications and the importance of using your platform. Philippines also won People's Choice, and she talked about using pageants as a vessel of opportunity. Peru shared about working with a nonprofit that helps poor communities and also children, and then Vietnam shared about working with the homeless in her community. So nice little mini clips of the contestants that we got to see. Now we moved on to evening gown. I also need to say, they did a long parade of evening gown that I've never seen before. It was really nice to see the contestants get that moment on stage, even if they didn't advance. And we got to see a lot of second evening gowns that we wouldn't have seen otherwise. And it's funny because whenever I do the universe recaps, I'm always kind of trying to keep an eye out and see like, oh, what was the other gown that she had, right? What would she have wore for finals if she had placed? So it was nice that we got to see that. Also, love here for gown, we had a violinist. She also came up through the floor. This was fabulous, elegant. Love elegance for gown. Indonesia, so this is a unique evening gown. We don't see a lot of black evening gowns on brunettes. And also the style in general reminds me of the mid 2000s. the 2010s. We would see this like drop waist style with the fuller skirt. The top would be fully embellished, and then the bottom would have some sort of like ruffles on it or pickups or things like that. So we kind of saw this throwback of her evening gown, and I'm curious if that's going to influence other contestants. Are we going to see a shift away from just the fully sequenced gowns? That was interesting, but she knocked it out of the park. She was solid for gown. This, I couldn't have asked for anything more. For me, when I saw this, she was elegant, she was confident, she had these lovely moments and poses. I would have immediately advanced her. Cambodia, I do feel like the styling of all of this gown, it was a lot. It was a little overwhelming for her. I do wish that they would have done a smaller earring, maybe put her hair up, and then maybe do more of a sheer glove versus like kind of a more opaque sort of fingerless glove that she was wearing. So when I saw this, I was like, this is a lot. This is going to be a tough pass to a 5 if she can make it. But Thailand looked really, really beautiful. Love this evening gown. The color of, it reminded me of the colors of the preliminary stage, right? She looked fantastic in this. She had a great smile and beautiful facials at the end of the runway. I loved Dominican Republic in this evening gown. Honestly, so stunning. But I wish that we would have gotten an up-close shot of her face, and I feel like we missed that in a critical moment. USA, this was interesting for me to see. So she wore the same gown for prelims and finals, but there's something about this gown on the final stage that I really, really loved. It was such a standout. And then it's also when I realized how tall she is. Oh my gosh, so tall. But she did fantastic here, and I loved this performance. And I was like, yeah, she is really standing out, especially when they put them in that lineup of the 10. I was like, ooh, USA, my eye was going right to her. She looked great. Philippines. So I like the color of this gown. I do feel like the gown was safe, and I feel like we're seeing this twice for her. At Miss Universe Philippines, I was underwhelmed with the gown choice for finals. It just did not pop as much as I would have hoped on stage. Also with this style, I actually wish that they hadn't have done her hair up, but that she would have gone with more of that like Cher 1970s look, where when Cher would wear like that super long like black hair. I don't know if she might need some extensions or something like that to really create that exaggerated look, but I feel like that would have been a much more memorable look. And yeah, I looked at this gown and I was like, you know, it was beautiful, it was stunning. I like the color. I mean, I like all of it on her, but when I really think about it, I just felt like this isn't one of those gowns that made everybody go, oh my gosh, did you see Philippines in that evening gown? She looks so amazing. Like, she looks beautiful, but I do feel like there would have been more competitive options for her. Peru, on the other hand, now I love this evening gown. Obviously, we're seeing the colors of the Peruvian flag, so I thought that was really cool. Also, the fact that she had this like cape piece that went over her and this bright, bold color on the inside instead of just having white reminded me a lot of Zozabini's preliminary gown at Miss Universe, how she had the tribal fabric inside, which was really cool and unique. And this was just, I just love this look. I was obsessed with it. She did so great. She really carried this well. And it was cool to see her also drop that cape at the end. I didn't even know it was detached. Vietnam is so beautiful, but I did prefer her preliminary evening gown and performance. I was like, oh gosh, I wish they would have just swapped the gowns for prelims and finals. It's a beautiful gown. She looks great, but there was just like, I don't know, the color of it, I feel like was a little bit off for her. And even the hairstyle with it, I felt like we took a step back here, but I loved her performance. The performance is what should matter, but I feel like at the end of the pageant, like, you really got to stand out with everything. The performance, the way you speak, the way you look, all of it. It's all got to come together. So let's talk about their onstage questions. Indonesia was asked, Miss Cosmo 2024 is a beauty pageant that not only emphasizes intellect and beauty, but also sustainability. What is your contribution to the sustainable society? And she said, the skills I am equipped with, all of the skills, being Putri Indonesia of altruism. I have an advocacy. It's in sustainable tourism, where I try to preserve culture because I believe culture is an important aspect in order for us to be who we are. Growing up in Bali, I was surrounded by traditional culture, and I am the woman I am today. I have worked with local artisans. It's not only about giving economic opportunity, but also giving them a platform for the younger generation to take pride in their own culture, like how I take pride in my own culture. I am Balinese, and I will continue to say that I am Balinese. I am Indonesian, and I am here to make Indonesia proud today. Go back and watch this answer from the show. She was very comfortable. She was very confident. I love that she did not sound rehearsed. And I loved how specific she was in her answer. She talked about the work that she's doing towards sustainability and while also preserving culture. She shared about herself in the answer. This, for me, is such a great example for a winning answer. This is going to be one of the ones where I tell people, go back, watch her answer, learn from this. This is my expectation for winning answers in pageantry. Peru. She was asked, how would you use technology to drive impact beauty? And impact beauty is the pageant's motto. She mainly answered in Spanish and did have a translator. And she says, we all know that technology has a big impact on our lives. As the queen of my country, I am very committed to carrying the message of environmental sustainability. And then she talked about the rainforest in her country and her care for the environment and the problem that they have in their rivers. So this answer was quite a bit shorter than the others. As I mentioned, I feel like she missed the mark here because she didn't make a strong enough connection to technology and impact beauty. She talked about environmental issues, but how are we tying that into tech? Thailand. They said, if you win tonight, you will be the first ever Miss Cosmo International, and you will have a big role in defining this new brand. 20 years from now, what do you want the legacy of Miss Cosmo to be? Being the first Miss Cosmo 2024. She said, I'm absolutely honored to have this title. However, it's very important that we use our platform wisely. For example, in this year, I have so many activities related to the local community. Like for me, myself, I work closely with the local farmers back in my hometown. She mentions that when we move forward in the future, that we have to start with ourselves. It's important to know that change starts when we take the initiative to make the change, and remember that legacy is the first step, just like the first year of Miss Cosmo. Honestly, this was a good answer the way that she presented it. I missed a little bit of the precise phrasing, but you can go back and watch her answer. And so when I heard this, I was like, you know what? She was detailed. She used some personal examples talking about working in the community, working with farmers. It was a great answer. USA was asked, what initiatives would you champion to create a safer environment for LGBTQ plus youth facing discrimination? And she says, as someone that has faced bullying firsthand, I can tell you guys that I'm very tall and that did not make well for my childhood, but I understand how those LGBTQ students feel and not feeling safe going to school. And so as a Miss Cosmo, it's important that when you go to events, you're welcoming, you're inviting, you're making sure that everyone you see feels safe and feels heard, and that is a legacy I would love to carry as Miss Cosmo. So this was a pretty good answer. Honestly, I feel like if the other answers hadn't have been that good, that maybe she could have advanced into that top two. But I think that the part that was missing was the specifics of, okay, what initiatives are you actually supporting? But I do like that she was able to share some personal experience. Vietnam was asked, should someone be successful in order to be impactful? Interesting. Essentially, she says that with me, being a success can give the impactful beauty and everything like to everybody because they have to work hard. They do believe in what they want and what they want to do. So when they succeed, that means that they have to work hard and they do believe in their self. And that's the reason why they can give the inspire to another. And I believe that me, if I was Miss Cosmo 2024, I can work hard, I can act, not just talk, and I can do everything that I believe in myself and want to work more for charity, for community, and I am Vietnamese. Thank you. So I do feel that this answer could have been a lot stronger if she had just used the translator for this, and I feel like this is something I see with a lot of Vietnamese contestants. I think that they could place higher or win some other titles if they just used the translator. I feel like that could have made a difference. Now they announced the top two, which were Thailand and Indonesia. And this was interesting. I didn't even know that this was about to happen, but they had a sort of debate. Our first contestant is able to present her advocacy. She has 90 seconds to do so. And then our other contestant has 45 seconds to ask a question. And then our first contestant is able to have 60 seconds to give her response for this. Then it flips. Same thing happens for the other contestants. So it was really interesting to hear this. What we learned about Miss Cosmo Indonesia is that her emphasis for sustainability is in relation to plastic use and plastic waste, and she had a really solid answer here for what she does and how she works and how she's able to recycle this plastic into things that we would actually use. Very, very cool. And then Miss Thailand shared more about sustainability in terms of our farmland, and she talked about a lot of the crises that we're facing and that we can help to restore our soil by reforestation. So it was actually really cool and interesting to listen to. I liked it. In the future, I kind of hope though that the contestants don't ask each other questions, because I feel like since you're competitors, you really could ask somebody a very tricky question to kind of trip them up in their answer, which I guess, you know, I mean, that's a part of it. You should be prepared for it. I almost wish in the future that one of the judges would just ask the follow-up question after the contestant presents her 90-second speech. So that was really, really cool. I do feel like Indonesia did narrowly win this round, although Thailand did so well. I loved this. I thought that was really cool, really unique. And so those were our results. Thailand was our first runner-up and Indonesia went home with the title. So I'm very excited about her. And the other thing I want to mention, if you don't know, is that she was a title holder for Putri Indonesia. So Putri Indonesia is this big pageant, and it's been around for many, many years in Indonesia, and they've had this wonderful legacy, and they send queens and have sent queens in the past to Miss Universe. They send them to Supranational, to International, and now to Cosmo. So if you didn't know, the winner of Putri Indonesia this year was sent to Miss Supranational, and she won. I was there. You can check out the vlog. You can check out all the recaps and all of that. For the past 2 years at Miss Supranational, Indonesia had placed in the top 5. So that win was kind of coming, right? Like they're getting better and better and better and closer to that crown. Now we have the new Miss Cosmo, also from Indonesia, from that same exact class of Putri Indonesia. She was actually second runner-up at Putri Indonesia. The first runner-up has yet to compete at International. She will be competing in November at Miss International. So it will be really wild if Indonesia wins the international title, that they would have their top 3 placements go on and win international pageants. That's pretty crazy, but the best thing I could compare this to was India in the early 2000s when they had a Miss World and a Miss Universe, and it was just so impressive. So Putri Indonesia is having a really great time right now. I'm sure they're celebrating. It's very, very exciting. You know, this was a really fun pageant to watch. Honestly, I have a lot of hope for it. I feel really good about this in its current direction. Also love seeing that our new queen and our first runner-up are doing media interviews. Love that. I want to see them treated like queens. Our new queen already moved into her new apartment. She's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment, which is very impressive, amazing. She's going to be very comfortable for her reign whenever she's able to actually rest, but I hope that she's gonna have lots of travels this year. This is so exciting. I hope she gets to go back to Indonesia and do a homecoming as well. But I feel like this was a very, very impressive first showing for this pageant. There's a lot of potential here. No pageant is perfect and we can always improve, but wow, did they do an incredible job with this. I really hope in the future I'm able to attend. This was exciting. So well done to the whole Cosmo team. Well done to all of the contestants. This was so exciting. Like, you literally made history. This is really cool. So congratulations to all of you, and stay tuned for new pageant episodes. Don't forget to come back, and I will see you very soon.